Hi everyone, it's Mike here and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So it's time for week number 10 over in our Mission Inspiration Facebook group. So let me turn over to my overhead camera and I'll show you the prompt and what I'm going to do for this week. So this is week number 10, connection. So threads of unity weave through existence. Embrace the power of bonds, visible and unseen. Nurture relationships that enrich your soul. Like a tapestry, every connection contributes to the grand design of life. And recognize the energy that binds us and celebrate the profound interweaving of hearts and spirits. So I thought for this week that I would take my inspiration actually from the image here. I like the circular motifs and I like those kind of twisting threads, almost cellular kind of biological kind of branches and threads that work their way through the image. So that is what I'm going to base my page on today. So with it being week 10, I've started my journey on the other side of my first set of signatures. So that was week number 9, so for last week. So that was the collage one for horizons. So this week, obviously, I've stuck my prompt sheet on already, and the page is going to go. I'm going to work it that way. So I've cut a piece of mixed media cardstock. This is a watercolor. Well, I say watercolor cardstock. It's mixed media cardstock. It's from this pad here. So it's Dale Arowney mixed media multiple technique. So for watercolor, ink, whatever you want to, and it's the 250 GSM or £169. I buy mine in the large A3 sheets, which is 16.5 by 11.7 inches or 420 by 297. So, and I cut mine down to whatever page size that I need. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to work on this separately, first of all. So I'm going to put some tape around this to create a border, but also I'm going to use some paints on it. So I want to keep it down, if you like. I want to hold it down. So let me grab some masking tape and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm all prepared. Paintbrushes, clean water, cup of coffee, and my paints for my colour palette. So I'm going to go a bit kind of fresh today. Actually, there's no pink in there, is there? I was thinking I might need a pink. There we go. I haven't really done a colour palette like this for quite some time, so why not? Right, so let's start off with the lighter colours. And I'm going to do a bit of a random paint on these. So we're going to build up a background just with random colour. Let me just grab a sponge. I've no kitchen roll. So I'm having to make do today. No kitchen towels. Okay, so let's start just with random kind of strokes of colour that we can just build up. There we go. Actually, I do need some kitchen towels. I know there's a roll downstairs, so let me just go and grab that and I'll be back. Okay, so I've got some kitchen towel now. This is primarily just for drying off my brush. So the inspiration behind the inspiration this week was the phrase 6 degrees of separation, which, for those of you that don't, or you've probably heard the phrase, but not necessarily kind of understood what it actually means. So the actual phrase was coined in the 1920s, and basically it was meant to say that you can trace yourself, a line between yourself, as I was saying, and anybody else on the planet through 5 other people, either friends or acquaintances or people that you know. So for example, I could trace myself to, let's just say, Cyndi Lauper, who I've never met, but I can trace a direct link between myself and Cyndi Lauper. So while we were on a trip to LA a few years ago, we met a chappie called Roland, who was an agent, worked at an agency for the William Morris agency, who represents Cyndi Lauper. So he's met Cyndi Lauper. So me, Roland, Cyndi Lauper. So in just 3 steps, I've connected myself to Cyndi Lauper. That's kind of the way it works. And you can do that, apparently, with practically anybody on the planet. That's where the phrase 6 degrees of separation. So it's a maximum of 5 intermediaries or 5 stops along that path to that other person. Now, apparently, that's now changed. So they reckon now you can do it in as little as 4 steps, like I've just done it in 2, basically. So, yeah. Who can you trace yourself to, I wonder? So, have you ever done that little exercise? I know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows Kevin Bacon, for example. Or anybody. Be interesting to see who you can trace yourself to. Obviously, on our travels abroad and that kind of stuff, we've met quite a few people. I've been in the same room as Bruce Willis, Leonardo DiCaprio, but that's a different story. Got invited to Tom Cruise's wedding. But like I say, it's a long story, that one. Again, through Roland. Right. So let's just add in some of those oranges. I love this orange. Orange and yellows are such wonderful colours. Did I just throw that wet wipe away? I didn't really need to, did I? There we go. Of course, there are some people on the planet you really don't want to be drawing connections with. I mean, I suppose it only really works with, I suppose now, with, if you want to say, like living connections, you could do living connections to people that are still alive, but we could also do the same thing for Carrie Fisher, who's sadly obviously passed away now, which is, you know, tragic, but, you know, these things happen and people get old. It's just the way things are. Right, let's move on to this turquoise. Yeah, I suppose you could do it, depending on how old you are. So if you can trace connections to people that may not necessarily be with us anymore. So do you know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody? These type of backgrounds are kind of like one of my favourite ones to do, just random blobs and blocks of colour, because you don't really have to think too much. You just go around filling in the gaps, which is, you know, fun in itself. And usually by the time you get round to your next colour, your previous layer's dried, obviously depending on, you know, the temperature of your room or humidity or whatever. Okay, so 5 colours. So let's go back in with that pink next. Not one of my most favourite colours, but pinks and purples don't really do it for me. Oh, that's not really mixed very well, is it? I can still see binder in there. Let's just give it a whiz up on the mat here. It doesn't matter if you think, oh, I've covered up all the yellow. You can always come back and add another layer of the yellow later. Here we go. I'm not really using a huge amount of paint either. Keeping wastage down to a minimum. It's a nice little colour palette, that, actually. That orange. What colours are they? So we've got Sunny Day, Deco Art Americana. We've got Bright Orange, Deco Art Americana. We've got Bubblegum Pink, Bubblegum Pink, Deco Art Americana. Sea Aqua, Deco Art Americana. And I'm about to use, at the studio, Denim Blue. Denim Blue. So now then, haha, he says, brand new. Haven't used this one yet. I'm now going to battle with the foil, aren't I? No, we're not going to battle with the foil. Let's just do this really quickly. Rather than try to peel it off, let's just stab it. Take it off that way. This is where I get completely blathered in blue paint. Drop that into my bin. Clean my fingers. So while we were in London recently, Ian and I went to the cinema to see the new Olivia Colman film, Wicked Little Letters. And I have to say, I have not laughed at bad language so much for such a long time. Obviously, it's appropriate for the film. I'm going to switch to a smaller brush now. But it's just hilarious. It's set just after the First World War in a small town to the south of London, so almost like on the coast. Those of you that are familiar with that kind of area. Oh, I've got a puppy. Oh, hello, Mr. Nip. Mr. Nippy coming to visit. Hello, darling. Have you just woke up? Right, so I'm finding that this paint, this new paint that I haven't opened before, is actually translucent. It doesn't actually say it's translucent though, does it? No. Wait, now you see, now that Nippy's woke up, that's woke Bentley up now, so he's here now as well. Hello, you. Hello, both of you. Oh, dear me. The Paw Patrol's arrived. I guess that means that I'm going to have to maybe just take a break and just have a little play with them, because Ian's working in the garage, so he will have no idea that the boys are awake. Okay, let's just take a quick break, 5 minute, well for me anyway, 5 or 6 minute break, but for you it'll just be a matter of moments. All right, back from Teddy play. So yeah, I'm going to add in just a little bit more yellow, just using that small brush. Just trying to cover kind of like this, that background. Did you see that? I nearly dipped my brush into my coffee then. Right, what else shall we add? A little bit more of that orange, I think. Just tiny little blobs, just to fill in those gaps maybe. And then we can just start layering, maybe just go over some of those other areas once more. And I think I'm happy with that. Right, so what I'll do is I will just have a quick tidy up, a quick clean up. I'm going to leave it stuck down, and then pop these paints away, and then I'll be back. Okay, so all that's now dry. So I recently rediscovered the joys of creating a splattered kind of texture using my Neocolor 2, so I'm going to do that as well today. So what I'm going to do is just put some water down and then start working the water into this Neocolor. Just get that. I haven't used this black one for a long time, so it'll take a while. That's it. So now we just start flicking. Oh. And then we can go. Oh. Love it. Start breaking up that pattern. Just dry that off. Drop that back into my tub. Then we'll give that a quick blast with the heat gun. Now that's dry, he says hunting furiously in his collection for a red. What's that one? Is that metallic? Ah, there we go. There's a nice red. So I'll do the same thing again with the red. Let me just work it into that water. I know I really don't usually do red splatters in an art journal page like this because I think it looks too much like blood and nobody wants to see that. But when you're adding in other colours, so we've got the blockiness that we did first, and then we've got that red, so let's just get that dried. Quite a few layers going on here. Okay, so now we've done that, I'm going to do the same thing with the darker blue. I'm just mixing the colour from the crayon on the mat, like so. And that one is Prussian blue. Let's just pick that up. Like so. And we'll get that layer dried. Okay, so that Prussian blue is now dry. So I want to do one more layer of green. So this is emerald green this time. So Ian's just joined us. He's just come in from the garage where he's been working this morning, haven't you?
I have. Good morning, everyone.
So it's promised to be quiet while I'm filming. Alright, so let's just get some of that emerald green. Nice colour, actually. I don't use these Neo colours nearly enough. I've had them for, well, for years anyway. But you get some lovely effects with them. So that's the emerald green. Works well on the yellow, does that emerald green. And because these are acrylic Neo colours, when they're dry, they're permanent, they don't react again to moisture. They work perfectly with the acrylic paint and you get no mixing. So they just sit as a layer. Right. Alright, so the emerald green is dry. So I want to put a final splatter layer on just with some white, just to kind of break up that surface. So I'm not going to do a huge amount of splatters with the white, but I just want to kind of introduce a little bit of negative space, I suppose you could call it. A little bit of water. Give it a bit of a mix. My gesso's quite old now, so it's starting to go rather thick, but it should still be alright for this. That's it. Know when to quit. And that is it. Stop what you are doing, put down the paintbrush, do not pass go, do not collect £200 or whatever the currency is where you are. Okay, so once more, dry off. So the white splatters are now completely dry. I'm going to use a brand new stencil. So this is going to be a release in April. So this one is called Swiss Cheese for obvious reasons. So I'm just going to tape it down. Because I don't particularly want it to move. This is low tack stencil tape, and I've had it for quite some time, so it's pretty much got a life of its own now. Masking tape's too strong, love, it'll pull. Okay. Ian just brought over masking tape for me, but the tack on the masking tape's too strong.
Can't win, can you?
Well, it'll tear.
It will.
It'll tear the paper, and I don't want that to happen. No. So, but thank you anyway. That'll do, that's okay. Right, so now I've got that Swiss cheese stencil taped down, just at the top and the bottom, I want to introduce some bling. So I've just been going through my collection of metallic paint, and I've got one here which is called Fool's Gold, which is, to me, it's more on the bronzy side. So not really appropriate. I've got one called Goldilocks, which is too silvery. It's more like a champagne gold, which I don't particularly want. I want something rich. So instead of using gold, I have no gold paint left. It's all gone. So I need to do some more shopping. So this is brass. It's called Brass Monkey. And it's quite a nice brass colour. It's like a greeny gold, like antique brass. So I've got, or I did have, where's it gone? It's rolled away, there we go. I've got one of those distress foams. It's one of the domed ones. And I'm just going to load up.
Oh, your new ones have arrived this morning.
Oh, did they?
Yes.
Lovely. Now he tells me. Now I've still got a few of these left. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go around now. Need to give that a shake. I think that's probably mostly binder in there now, isn't it? All the mica settled. As sometimes happens with metallic paint. Well, that's a bit of a surprise. That's not covering very well. I wonder if this is a Duff bottle. Let's try one of my others. I'm sure I've got another one somewhere. Ah, there we go. Give it a shake. Oh, that's a lot thicker. All right, let me start over this side. Even this is a bit translucent. It's not very matte, but that's okay. Let's just go around, because as we're going round, the paint should kind of collect in those edges, and it'll give us a bit of a sheen, like an over sheen. Might just come back and do a second coat. The idea using this stencil is to create those kind of circular node points for our connections. Let me just give that a quick dry and then I'll be right back. Alright, so I've just dried that off. So I'm just loading up again into the sponge, the spongy, and I'm going to go over with a second coat. Just a quick whiz over, just to give it that kind of second sheen. It appears that I'm getting more of a coverage if I spounce. But I think the fact that I can actually still see some of the pattern underneath might actually be working in my favour. Unexpected, but maybe a little bit of a bonus. Okay, so let me get that dried off and then we'll reveal from the stencil and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so I've pulled the bottom part of the tape off already, and then I'm just going to lift that stencil up. Get that cleaned off in a second. So it has covered a fair bit, but that's fine. It has gone underneath a little bit in some areas, but that's okay. Don't mind that. All right. So I just need to get this stencil cleaned up because I don't want that drying on there, and then I'll be right back. So I've cleaned the stencil thoroughly, so it's nice and clean again. And I've taped it back down. So I've now got one of these Uniball Ocean Care eye pens. So this is one of those pens that will write on paint. So what I'm going to do now is just very carefully, is I'm now going to use the stencil as a template and I'm going to go in and draw around every circle. Let's get some scratch paper, because the nibs are bound to just get a little bit kind of scruffed up because you're dragging it across the top of paint, so you're bound to get a little bit on the nib. So just cleaning it every so often helps. So this is going to take me a while, so I'll carry on going round, and then I will join with you again when I've done all those. Right, I think that's the last one. I don't think I've missed any. So let's take the stencil back off again. But if I have missed any, it's not a deal breaker or anything, because we'll be able to tell that we've missed some. Yay. That looks all right to me. I'm happy with that. So I'll put that stencil to one side now. So like I said, Swiss cheese, that will be available in April. Ooh, bit of gold paint there. Just get rid of that. Okay, so I've now got another pen. This is where Fude Ball, apparently. Yeah, I don't know how old this is. Very old. It's just dried up on me. There we go. So we can't use that one. In the bin. Right, have I got another? Yes. Again, don't know how old this one is. That looks a bit better. Right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm now going to connect all the dots. So each one of those dots is now going to have a line of sight connector, like so. So every dot that there's a clear line of sight for, I'm hoping to almost kind of like building up a node network, almost like a nucleus, a chemical bond. So again, this is going to take a while. So I will see you in a few moments. Alright, so I had to take the masking tape off just so that I could turn it round to fill in those gaps. So I've just been looking through it and I can't see any obvious misses in, oh, maybe there. It's a clear line of sight. I don't think No, that's not really clear line of sight, but we'll just cheat and do a bend. There we go. So that's, I think, every node connected to every other. No, you see, I'm still finding gaps, look. So I'm sure there'll be one or two still that I've missed that I'll probably come back to later on just to double check. But there we go. I like that. And the fact that we've got a little bit of bling and a little bit of sheen in that background as well, with that kind of really nice colourful background, just adds to it, I think. So what I want to do now is I'm just going to give it a quick blast on the heat gun just to dry the ink, because I don't want to smudge it now, and then we'll add it to the page. Okay, so I'm pretty kind of certain that that ink is all dry now. So what I've done is I've just added some double-sided tape. So I just had to break off there because Dad rung. Right. So as I was saying, I've added some double-sided tape to the back. So I didn't want to use glue because I didn't want to buckle it any further. So double-sided tape will kind of grip and hold it and kind of straighten out any buckling in the paper from all the paint. We haven't really used a huge amount of water, so there's not a huge amount of buckling, as you can see. It's only a little bit. So right, so this is going to go here. So I think that's just about equal all the way around. There we go. So now that's in the book. A bit blue tape. Get off. There we go. So that's now on that side there. So we've got connections on that side. So all I need to do now is just to sign and date it. So I'm going to do that down here in the bottom. In fact, let me do it here. So there, and today's date is the 9th. There we go. So let me just zoom in a bit, see if I can. There we go. So that is my art journal page for this week. So the prompt being connections. So don't forget, if you want to join us over in our Mission Inspiration Facebook group for our weekly art challenges, then that is the URL on the screen there, but there will be a clickable link below the video. So I hope you've enjoyed watching me create this art journal page today. If you have, please give the video a thumbs up because it really does help. Don't forget, you can share it with your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, you can do so by clicking the button at the end of the video. That's all from me for now. I'll see you all again very, very soon. Bye for now. Oh, and let me know if you've spotted one that I've missed. Like there. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. And don't forget, you can access your exclusive angel-only content over on my website. There's a link in the description area below. Thank you.